If you haven't heard it here, it hasn't been recorded.
Everything you want to hear from the voice of Cerritos College, WPMD on the net,
Where people
make a difference.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Falcon Spotlight. And we have winded down to the final live edition of the Falcon Spotlight for the semester. This show is dedicated to featuring individuals who are active on campus, promote their cause, their fundraisers, and this show I have had the privilege of featuring various clubs, lots of student government leaders as well. I've highlighted a student who was very active in the theater arts program who has become active in the late night burn night as a comedian. He has also done videos on YouTube, and I had him here the other day. I also had a commissioner who was promoting the Premier Literacy Program, and to further educate people listening around the world on the various different opportunities that are available to you here at Cerritos College. I also featured a on-air talent here who he has a passion for music, and he raps and loves editing. He knows all kinds of software. He is a very active individual, and I can't think of a better way to have my final audition with two of the biggest leaders, the most distinguished leaders we have here on campus. They're both presidents in their own right, one through student government, one for the entire college. At this time, I would like my guests to please introduce themselves.
So, hello everybody. My name is Juan Ramirez. I'm the AACC president.
Hi, Rob. My name's Dr. Linda Lacey. I'm the president superintendent for Cerritos College.
And how are you all doing this morning?
It's a little nippy.
What Dr. Lacey said, it's a little nippy.
Okay. And I know that the semester is almost over. I mean, finals is what, next week already?
Yeah, that is correct. Finals is next week, and it's going to end on December 20th. That's the last day of finals.
Now, can you provide any tips and advice that you would give some students who they probably have some difficulty with time management, or maybe there's some techniques that students can adopt in order to be more successful during finals?
Well, one thing that's helped me a lot, Rob, is just taking the time to actually disconnect from the electronics around me. Unless I'm doing a last-minute research paper, if that's my final, I tend to like to turn off my phone, turn off my computer, and just sit maybe in a nice, quiet room and really concentrate on what I'm studying. You know, I'm a nutritional science major, and my science is, the major is extremely, it's based on a lot of science classes, so sometimes I require hours and hours of just rereading material, so trying to understand the concept. And it helps to really just disconnect. You know, you tend to have your mind a little bit clearer. And sometimes when I'm feeling like the material is really coming too easily, I'll even add some classical music like Mozart and Beethoven. So that's some of the tips I would give students. And also, if they want more tips, they're more than welcome to reach out to the iFalcon Club. They follow the acronyms Falcon: Focus, Advance, Link Up, Comprehend, Organize, and New Ideas. And those are key acronyms that are really helpful in becoming a successful student here at Cerritos and beyond the two-year institution.
I'd like to add, people underestimate I think the benefit of rest and nutrition. As Juan was talking about nutrition, students will have a tendency to cram late nights and not get enough rest and maybe skip some meals. The best thing you can do for yourself is to still get the rest you need and to have nutritious meals during that time. You need all your energy and your focus during finals week. And don't wait till the last minute. Start now.
Definitely. Now, I was also wondering, for the students, obviously, when they first start their careers here at college, some of them, they already have known for quite some time what their career would be, their career path that they have chosen. Others, they don't know right away, but they become inspired. And I was wondering, for the both of you, what was that like, that journey to discovering what is it that you wanted to major in?
Well, for me, Rob, it really began in high school. I'm always the type of person who likes to have a goal and try to accomplish it, any way possible. And originally, I was a business major, and I even did a few internships before I even came to Cerritos College. I was an intern for LPL Financial, which is a financial firm, and I got a lot of experience doing business. But somewhere down the line, like I was going through changes in my life, and some of that was me emphasizing more on taking care of my health. I was actually overweight throughout most of my life in high school, and it was through doing research and actually getting membership at the YMCA that I was able to meet a group of people who really inspired me to take more time out of my day to concentrate on eating more nutritiously and exercising a little bit more. And over time, there was actually, I'll never forget this day. I was inputting data on the computer for accounting, and it was about 1 in the morning. It was for my accounting class, and I realized that I didn't really want to do this. I mean, I loved it, but there was another calling, and then it was like, a small burning fire that was growing day by day, and I decided to take a chance to completely stop working on trying to be a business major and concentrate on being a nutritional science major. And I owe a lot of that to some of the friends that there's still some of my best friends that I met at the YMCA, who helped me create efficient workouts and do more research on nutrition and how to be healthy. And it's something that I still continue to this day, and that I still even try to show on in cabinet, or to people who are always interested to see, what can they do with such a busy schedule to at least add some nutritious meals, throughout their day.
Rob, I think we'll talk a little ancient history now, but when I was first getting ready to go to college, I started actually my freshman year. I was only 17 years old, and so I really didn't have a clue where I was going to go. I started out in pre-law as my major at Oklahoma State University, and I was an athlete at the time, and I began focusing more on kinesiology and physiology. And I just had a love for learning how the body mechanics worked and how the body system works itself. So after the first couple of semesters in pre-law, I started changing my interest, and so I started majoring more in that direction. It parlayed into a career that I thought was going to be in therapy. I thought I would probably either be a physical therapist or corrective therapist. However, when I finished my degree, I had finished a teaching certificate also, which I was very fortunate to be able to do that. So I started substitute teaching at a high school and found that I loved it. And so I began teaching high school biology, and it was right when Title IX was coming forward with women's athletics. And so I had the opportunity to develop programs for women at the high school. And so it was kind of a great career change, and that was many, many years ago. I've been in education almost 40 years now, and I simply love it every day. It's why I come to work.
Very interesting. We'll be right back, folks, after these public service announcements.
Mondays and Wednesdays at noon Pacific on WPMD. It's Deaf Man's Music.
No, I take the mic back. People know I write raps and I go off the track. The mic check, I got that.
Deaf Man's Music with Ignite.
I have been doing this radio thing for about 2 years, so it's been a blessing, and Deaf Man's Music's here to ride.
Hip-hop, rap, R&B, freestyle. Ignite and his pack discuss the lyrical breakdowns of urban music.
I just want to be somewhere around music. If I'm not making it or selling it, then I just want to spread it to the world.
12 noon Pacific, Mondays and Wednesdays.
It's Deaf Man's Music, man.
With Ignite.
On WPMD, where people make a difference.
Did you know that 17 million people will acquire a dog or cat within the next year? But there are still 2.7 million pets losing their lives in shelters. However, the percentage of pets in homes adopted from animal shelters and rescue groups has risen from 27% to 29% in the last 2 years. And encouraging statistics show that euthanasia of shelter pets is down 10% since 2009. By adopting, you can make a difference in the life of a shelter pet. A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the ShelterPetProject.org, and WPMD on the Net, where people make a difference.
Welcome back to Science Today. And we already have our next caller. Welcome. Who's this?
Hi, I'm Philip.
Hello, Philip. You sound really young.
Not really. I'm 9.
Oh, wow. You're still in elementary school, right?
Does that matter?
Oh, no, not at all. What's your question?
Well, I know the molecular formula for water is H2O. I also know that hydrocarbon is CH3CH2 50CH3. Glucose is C6H12O6. The general formula for an alkene is CnH2n plus 2. But what I can't seem to find is any scientific formula for Bob.
Bob?
My goldfish.
Are you ready for kids who eat healthy? Good nutrition can lead to great things. To find out how a healthy lifestyle can help your child succeed, go to mypyramid.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and USDA.
Welcome back to the Falcon Spotlight. Here at Cerritos College, based in Norwalk, this is WPMD, where people make a difference. And I am back with my guests. Now, Juan, I know that you were talking about how you got inspired by fitness. You just recently participated in an event this weekend. Can you tell us more about it?
Sure, Rob. The event was actually called Spartan Race, and it was created about a few years ago. It's really not that old, by old Navy SEALs, veterans, who wanted to create an obstacle course race that really challenged participants, and they say that the saying is, you'll know at the finish line, and I have to admit, it's one of the toughest things I've ever done. It was a Spartan Sprint, the one I did. It's about 3 to 4 miles and 20 obstacle courses, and I have to. I'm really proud with the team I went with. We actually went as Team Falcons because I wanted to represent Cerritos College, and we were all actually very physically active, all the members that went. But even then, we saw women and men in their late 40s, early 50s who were also participating in the event, and they were putting all their effort into it. And I'm just really proud to have done that. It's a great way to end the semester. I considered it a little gift to myself for my academics and for being AACC president. To kind of take that one day. It was on Saturday to really try something new, and that's always what I'm emphasizing. For people who want to get fit, or want to be more eat more nutritiously, the first step to take is always to just try something you've never done before, and I have no regrets.
Now, I know that on campus, the college experience goes beyond just education as far as going into a class lecture and going home. There are so many opportunities that people can take advantage of, like joining clubs or student government. Now, I was wondering, how did you both learn about these organizations, and can you tell us your view as to the importance about them?
One of the things that research shows is students that are more actively engaged in their college or university are more likely to succeed. Engagement includes being involved in learning communities, study groups, clubs, organizations, athletics, music, theater. The list goes on and on. But those students that do that are the ones that are going to most likely succeed. So it's been a passion of mine to try to have programs that contribute to student success. I think it also creates a spirit, a place for students. What I'm very proud of at Cerritos College is that the students want to obviously succeed academically, but if you look around, they'll stay in between classes, they like to stay on campus, they love to engage. So to me, that's very rewarding, and it also helps build and create community leaders, which I think is something you cannot underestimate the value of.
Yeah, I believe Dr. Lacey hit the nail on the head with that one. And just to add to it, I originally, when I came to Cerritos, and before that, I was not involved with any extracurricular activities, and I saw Cerritos as an opportunity for a new start. So the first club I actually joined was iFalcon, and I mean, it was a great starting point because, like I said, iFalcon is actually made up of leaders. I believe last year the president himself was vice president of the AACC. Our vice president, she was a chief justice for court, and I was secretary, and then I ran for ACC president and I won. And besides all that, the workshops that they do with time management, the psychology of learning, and I actually did one myself, my third semester here, called nutrition and being a full-time student. It was extremely beneficial to all the students, and it helped me meet some of my best friends that I still work with here on campus. So, like Dr. Lacey said, when you're in part of clubs, you tend to stay more involved and to network with other students who have the same goals and ambitions as you do. I mean, I'll give you today, for example. I come on campus at 8 in the morning and I leave at 10 at night. And that's due to work in student government and going to clubs and also in my academics. But I love every day that I do this, and I wouldn't really exchange it for anything else.
Rob, I do need to put a plug in. Our women's soccer team won the state championship again for the second time in a row, so go Falcons.
Yeah, go Falcons. I saw that the other day. Thank you, Dr. Lacey.
Student government. I mean, some people, they may not be aware of what a student government is, but can you shed light on to the general public, what they do?
Absolutely, Rob. So one of the things that we do is we have 3 branches of government. In fact, our student government specifically created to replicate the government of the United States. So we have a cabinet, which is the executive branch. We have a court, which is the judicial branch. And we have a senate, which is the legislative branch. And each branch has different duties. So cabinet, for example, has commissioners who have to go and communicate with different departments. So like we have a commissioner of public relations. So he talks to the department head of public relations and he updates us with any current events, or if the PR department needs our assistance in any way, we try to figure out and plan and what is it that we can do to help that department. And also we work to see what the needs of the students are. So last year when Lance Macchiano, who's a great student leader, by the way, he worked very rigorously with Mark Logan to create a food survey because he wanted to help students by figuring out if they wanted healthier options here on campus. So that's some of the things cabinet does. And also we're kind of like the student liaison to the faculty. We update them on what student government is doing and some of the events we're planning. And if you move down to, say, Senate, they tend to represent 500 students here on campus and try to see the needs of the students. So last year, for example, there was an issue of supposed gambling on the student center. So some of the senators actually went out of the way to talk to some of their constituents in the student center and figure out if this was true or if this was any way to make it a more friendly environment. So that's some of the things we do. And overall, we're just really here to represent the students and to make Cerritos College a better place.
I'd like to add, also the students are involved in what we call our participatory governance system at the college. The president, Juan, would do appointments to committees, college-wide committees, and the student voice is very well respected and appreciated when serving on those committees. And I think that's a very valuable thing that the students give. We need to know what the students need and what the students feel about certain issues. And so by them serving on those committees, we get to hear it right from the students about what their needs and what their concerns are. So the involvement in that is also critical at the operation and management of the college.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lacey. And it's something that we're working towards making it better as well. We managed to fill up almost every single shared governance committee with at least one student rep. But due to academic changes, we're probably going to have to change that schedule for next semester because some students unfortunately get classes during those time periods. But overall, it's just to make sure that students are represented here on campus and they're part of these conversations that faculty are having. The ICC, we'll break it down to where it originates from. So we have a commissioner of ICC, which is commissioner of Interclub Council. And this is pretty much where all the clubs sent a student rep, it's called an ICC rep, to go so they could communicate with each other and interchange information about events they're planning to host, or if the ACC and student government are planning to host an event for the clubs, so we could coordinate with them to see what times would be best for them to meet. I'll give you an example. Last semester with Ace Kagiwa, who was the commissioner of ICC, we hosted an event called Falcon Games, and it was broken down throughout the entire week of Spring Festival. And in those 5 days, 4 days to be exact, We communicated with the clubs through ICC meetings. We kind of gave them pamphlets and information about what the games were going to be about. They were broken down into physical games, an academic decathlon, and a video game day. And it's really essential to make sure that the clubs realize that there's a community here. You know, we have, I believe, over 30 clubs on campus, and many of these clubs sometimes don't realize that there's maybe a transfer club, an iFalcon club, an international student club. So it's really essential, you know, to have something like a commissioner of ICC and an inter-club council. And I think it's a major contributor to the reason why students like extracurricular activities.
Dr. Lacey, can you tell us a little more also about during your time in college, were there any clubs that particularly stood out for you as well? Or did you join student government when you were in school as well?
When I was in high school, I was a member of the student government, and when I was in college, my focus went more to college activities. I was in a spirit club, and then I mentioned that I was a varsity athlete. So by the time you do that, it pretty well takes most of your time. But we had a spirit club, and then we had a community organization club that were, I think, very important. The community club was mainly doing outreach to needy children, and we were providing toys, food baskets, but giving our time in coaching them, if it was teaching them how to play volleyball or softball or basketball. So we'd spend our time in after-school programs with that. So in college, that was probably my main focus. But I did have student government in high school.
And how many degrees do you have?
Well, let's see. I have a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a corrective therapy degree, and an EED, my doctorate degree.
Oh, that's amazing. Are they all in different subjects?
The bachelor was in, yes, it was. They're a little bit different, but the last degree in was higher ed administration. When I was teaching at the high school, I was teaching high school biology and coaching the women's sports, and then I became an assistant principal at the high school. So, yes, I also had to complete a principal certificate. So it went from more of a science-based field into educational administration field. So that's how it kind of evolved throughout the years.
I hope to get a bachelor's degree in nutritional science, and maybe we move on to getting a master's degree, hopefully at UC Davis. That's actually my dream school, but that's what I'm, currently working towards, and hopefully I get to, come back and show Dr. Lacey that I was able to accomplish what I set out to do.
Do you have a particular career in mind, or are you also interested in education, or?
Well, as much as I love education, I have this deep desire to really help people in third world countries. Growing up as a kid, my family, really a majority of them live in Mexico and in really poor areas of Mexico, and I would go visit them, and I noticed how sometimes they would be malnourished and didn't have the luxuries that we have here. Even though my mom was making minimum wage, you go back to other countries and you realize how fortunate we really are to have a roof over our heads and food on the table. Even though it might not be the most nutritious food, there's at least food there. So hopefully what I want to do is get my degree and become a registered dietitian. Like, that's where I want to start off, and help people in weight management and how they can better eat nutritiously at home or for their kids. And maybe somewhere down the line, I would love to go to a third world country and try to find maybe solutions to some of their malnutrition problems. But at the end of the day, I know that what I really want to do is just help people. I'm a big people person. I love to see people smile. So that's the reason I also love government. I love when people, go up to me or my commissioners and they tell them, thank you so much for all the hard work you put in.
And now I know that we also here at Student in Government have Operation Outreach. And each semester there's tables, there's various different events aside from this Operation Outreach having a table there. Here on campus we have job fairs at times. We had the All Majors Fair, the Student Services Fair. Can you explain to us, if you both can explain to us the various different events that we have here that are meant to promote outreach to the students?
Yeah, so absolutely, Rob. Operation Outreach, I really love Operation Outreach because they actually have tables outside and they go out of their way to personally communicate with the students who are just casually walking, by and going on about their day, and trying to, asking them, is there anything else we can do for you? And besides, and even before they answer that, they're like, and before you answer that, please take a pamphlet, talking about Relay for Life, just spreading community information that they might not know of. So they personally try to get more hands-in-hands experience with the students here at Cerritos College, and I've done the booth 1 or 2 times. I mean, I haven't been able to do it because once you're president, you're always running to committee meetings, or you're always running to events, or you're working on your academics, or you're talking to to people. But it's a great way to outreach to students, and I really appreciate everything the commissioner of Operation Outreach, Araceli Lopez, what she does, and also her co-chair, Mireya Garcia, who's also a senator. They work really hard, and they try to fit in the time to be out there 1 or 2 hours with other members of Operation Outreach, so they could really get connected with the students here on campus.
Although we try to do information during the orientation and assessment and outreach program when students are coming in, when you're a freshman, your main concern is getting your classes and finding a parking spot. So the value of outreach is so that students can understand all the things that are available on campus for them to get in, to become engaged in, and so they can really reach out. There's the we'll go around and do surveys and say, do you know we have this available? And the majority of the students won't. And so I think it's critical that students are talking to students and letting them know what's available to them and how they can get involved and how they can do that outreach into, then if they know, somebody else is going to know. So the outreach is a very, very important part of student government.
And we have traditions here on campus like homecoming and Mr. Cerritos and all these events. This was my first time attending the homecoming day, and it's pretty amazing. You have to be there to see how alumni come back, and like there's so much. Can you explain the atmosphere, what it's like for traditional events that we host here on campus?
Well, let me tell you first about your student body president. The first time I saw Juan was in Mr. Cerritos' contest, and actually he was a competitor. He's a great role model for nutrition and fitness, and so it was kind of funny because I remembered him. And then during his the student banquet at the end of the year, when he was actually sworn in as the president, I said, Juan, do you remember I saw you for the first time in Mr. Cerritos? But it's those type of activities, the fun activities, that get students involved and they embrace it, and then they go on to become community leaders. And that's the main focus of this leadership program. You have to have a good time while you're in college because it goes so quickly, but you're formulating a lot of great skills and things that are going to last you a lifetime in the workforce, with your family, in your communities. So you just can't underestimate the value of those type of programs. And it just starts with one little thing, maybe being a part of that contest. And one of the things that Cerritos College has enjoyed is tremendous support from our community. When we went for a bond issue to help rebuild our buildings, we passed it with 70%. And the activities that we have on campus that bring the alumni and the community back to the college for events, that's why they have such good a feeling about what the college is doing and where we're going and what we're trying to do for their children. And I think that's that type of thing. When you see people coming back to participate in homecoming, it's because they have pride in where they've been and what they've developed, and they want to be a part of Cerritos College.
And quick short little story, Rob. I actually went to Monterey a few weeks ago to represent Cerritos College in the General Assembly, which is pretty much a gathering of all student senators from the community colleges in California to talk about legislation pertaining to community colleges. And while I was having a conversation with some of the different CCs, I always love to mention about our homecoming and our spring festival, and they were really taken back because they don't tend to have a budget that is able that allows them to have events like that. So it's one thing that I absolutely love about Cerritos College is those traditions, And recently I was actually a judge for homecoming. I was judge for the homecoming float, and I got to meet some former alumni, including the former president, who for the likes of me cannot remember his name, but he was such a charming man, and I really admire that he's been doing this for the last 40 years and coming and judging and always willing to give out the awards with his wife. And I thought it was just amazing, that even after all these years, he still comes back and shows up for the students and faculty. And I'll give you an example. Former student trustee Jason Macias, when I had a conversation with him, he said, you move on to a UC, a Cal State, you get your degree, but at the end of the day, some of the best years I ever had were at this campus. And I feel the same way that, even though I'm going to move on with my life, Cerritos College is always going to have a special place in my heart. We're so unique in what we do with homecoming, like Mr. Cerritos, what Dr. Lacey said, Spring Festival. How can you not love this campus?
Definitely. There are so many opportunities here on campus and so many great events. We'll be right back to talk more about that after these public service announcements.
The Oldies Jukebox is back on WPMD.
Every night at 9 Pacific. Bringing you music you haven't heard for years.
In a way, you've never heard it.
6 decades of rock and roll packed into 1 hour.
The smallest hits from the biggest names.
The all-time greats and the one-time wonders.
From C&W to R&B. From MOR to AOR.
To good old rock and roll.
If you heard it then, you'll hear it now.
On the Oldies Jukebox.
Every night at 9 Pacific. On WPMD on the net.
Where people make a difference.
What was your favorite book as a child? What was it about? What made that book so memorable? Books can spark a lifetime of ambition, and that starts with regular reading. We're calling upon everyone to unite as book people and encourage a child's long life love of reading. Book People Unite is the start of a movement to help more children develop a passion for books and learning. Help ignite a reading renaissance in America. And join us as a book person by visiting bookpeopleunite.org. Brought to you by the Library of Congress, Reading is Fundamental, the Ad Council, and WPMD on the Net, where people make a difference.
It slices, it dices, with razor-like edges that never need sharpening. It's not a blender, it's not a set of steak knives, it's Car Windshield. And now, it can be yours. Here's how. Next time you're in a car and the driver's driving recklessly, simply say nothing. That's right. Let them change CDs. Let them text on their phones. Ignore that little voice in your head that's trying to warn you. And you too can experience Car Windshield. Passengers who have tried Car Windshield agree. It's a smash. Car Windshield may not be for everyone, as it can lead to severe side effects and even death. Please consult your physician after you've experienced Car Windshield. Passengers who wish to avoid Car Windshield can do so by following simple steps, like trusting their instincts, speaking up, and telling their friends to slow down.
In the real world, there is no spokesperson to prevent reckless driving. There's only you. Speak up.
Act now. Paramedics are standing by.
This has been a message from the Ad Council. For more information, go to youarethespokesperson.com.
In the workforce, or even just for internships and so forth, oftentimes people can be faced with rejection. And I was, wondering, for the both of you, have you ever had that experience? And how did you cope with it? How did you handle it? And because I know that, there are professors on campus like Professor Hirohama, or he'll build us up on our self-esteem. He'll tell us, it's okay, There's going to come times where you will face a few no's, but you just work hard and you'll get there.
Well, I think when you start getting ready and preparing for the job and the workforce and the workplace, of course, you're not going to get every job that you apply for, but you need to look at it, reevaluate it, and say, okay, how could I have done that better? How could I have been better prepared? That's what life is. It's those ups and downs, but most of the time, it's all about preparation. How well did you prepare? Did you prepare yourself before you went into the interview? And if you weren't successful, then how can you do a better job the next time? And also preparing yourself in life. Early on, you need to determine, okay, what do I really want to spend my life doing? What do I want my career to be? And what will I be happy going to work every day? For a long time, I never said I go to work. It was just, I'm going to school again. So, you have to decide in life what you want to do with that. And when I talk about preparation, that's every day. That's not just before a job interview. That's every day of your life. How do you want to prepare for a career? And what do you want to give back to the communities? And what do you want to do for the rest of your life that's going to make it fulfilling for you? So I think that's the thing. You can't let one little setback get you down. You need to go back and say, okay, well, next time I'll prepare just a little bit better and I will be successful. You can't let one rejection become such a disappointment that you give up.
You know, Rob, rejection is actually, I feel, a necessity in life, you know. It takes that really tedious and often difficult job to really appreciate that dream job in the long run, you know. And I feel that a lot of students sometimes don't know how to cope too well with rejection. You know, from my personal experience, I feel that I wouldn't be where I'm at if I hadn't failed the first few times, you know. Like Dr. Lacey mentioned, I did Mr. Cerritos, but I didn't win it, and I've done it twice, and I still haven't won it. But it's okay, you know. It's a learning process, you know. You don't see that as a detergent to, I'm not going to be able to do this. You see this as a way of like, well, that didn't exactly work. Where am I going? Why am I approaching this wrong? And how can I fix it, you know? And, you know, in high school, I remember that I only got 1 F in high school, and it was completely just it almost destroyed me, because I've always been that student who's really working hard to make good grades, you know, and staying after school, you know, to talk to the teacher to see if I need any assistance. And I don't think I would have improved in my studies and done more research on how I could be a more effective student if I hadn't failed, you know, in that class. So to all the students who are about to take finals and, you know, it's near the end of the semester, you know, don't give up. And even if for whatever reason you don't get that B or that A, you get a C or a lower grade that you expected, you know, it's all a learning process, you know. Life is trials and error, you know. You have to keep going, and, you know, you take, you know, the rejection as a learning experience. I feel like that's extremely important.
Here on campus, we also have the opportunity that there will come times where there'll be helpful workshops like resume building. And, you know, I mean, there are so many different techniques that people have that they'll say will lead you to the perfect resume. Some people will say that the typical norm is that it should remain 1 page. I was wondering, Dr. Lacey, what's your opinion?
I'm pretty much in agreement with the 1 page on the actual introduction letter. The resume it'll have different points. You know, when you talk about your experience, educational experience, your background and different things, it could be longer than that. But your 1 page has to be very dynamic, and it really has to capture the intention of the reader in really the first paragraph. There's a balance between coming off arrogant and being confident. You need to have that page show confidence in yourself that you can do the job. You want to make sure it grabs the attention of the reader and holds it, and pretty well encapsulates itself and your experiences in that 1 page. Then the rest of the resume, with the experience and different things like that, you're going to need to have more, I think, information provided at that. But that first introductory page is very important.
Wow, I feel like Dr. Lacey again hit the nail on the head with that one. Again, like, I was actually part of a hiring committee, and I always felt that, you know, 1 page resume is extremely crucial. And, you know, like she said, it has to be dynamic. It has to capture the attention. Again, you can't be too arrogant, but it has to, you know, keep me intrigued and keep the reader intrigued. And yeah, that's all I really got to say to that. She pretty much finished the rest.
No, I always ask my guests, what is your goal for the semester? Although it's almost over already. And what is your goal next year?
Well, my goal next year, Rob, is again, I already submitted applications to UCs and Cal State. So to finish up my last remaining classes here at Cerritos, and to again be the student liaison between the students and faculty. You know, we represent around 23,000 students, and I hope to continue to provide this service to them, you know, because really, even though the job doesn't pay, you know, I still would have done it with or without pay. Again, I'm doing it without pay. And hopefully to, again, continue working with Mr. Logan to see if there's any way we could bring healthier food here on campus. The Go Green program is officially on the go. Last week in Senate, it was passed unanimously to approve funding for 2 student employees here on campus. So that's going underway. So me and my VP, Aldemar Sanchez, are going to be working towards making sure that that program is implemented and it's effective. You know, we're hoping that a few years down the line we could have a successful recycle program like OCC, you know, which they make over $300,000 in profit after paying 3 full-time faculty with benefits and over 20 part-time students. The goals we have for next semester, and actually for this semester, just to have a good awards banquet. It's going to be our first one, me and Aldemars as president and vice president. We hope to, make sure everybody has a good time and, really showcase what Cerritos College is all about.
And Rob, my goal is always just to make sure that I can help lead this institution to provide the best quality education and services for our students, whether it be in financial assistance, tutorial, counseling. We've got some of the finest faculty ever assembled, and I know they do a wonderful job in the classroom, and we have to continue to help students on the other aspects of their life, whether that be, again, financial aid so they don't have to work so many hours, and the counseling tutorial to make sure that they're getting the skills that they need to succeed. They want to make a better life for themselves, so they come here. It's our duty and my duty to help make sure they have the services available to make them obtain that goal. I do want to say, Rob, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. I do have another meeting, so I'll need to sign off now. But again, I've enjoyed it, and invite me back sometime. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you very much. We have very important meetings that go on here on campus. And I would like to inform the audience listening, for these meetings, there are certain policies that are in effect, like Robert's Rules of Order or Brown Act and parliamentary procedures. But for people who have never heard those kind of words, what are those about?
Pretty much parliamentary procedures are meant, Rob, to have an effective meeting in place, because sometimes when a group of people are together, emotions run high and you're very passionate about an issue or about a certain agenda item, and you might want to just go off on a rant, or interrupt another speaker. So parliamentary procedures are pretty much used in place to keep things in order, to make meetings run efficiently. And if anybody's ever welcome to see, parliamentary procedures at work, go to a cabinet meeting, go to a Senate meeting. We're constantly using it. And, cabinet meets 2 p.m. from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. in BK 111. And in fact, Rob is Assistant Commissioner of Public Relations. And I mean, you do a magnificent job, Rob, at what you do. And again, that's really, if you want to see that, you can go to those meetings. Also, Brown Act is pretty much put in place to make sure that any information that might be biased or that might have an unfair advantage to a certain, arguer, it's pretty much used in place so you don't talk about agenda items that haven't been on the agenda yet or they haven't been addressed at the meeting, and that's to make sure that things are transparent, that there's no funny business going around. And we also follow that too, but that's a little bit more subtle. If you're really interested in reading about Brown Act, you could find that online. And it's not that long. I've done a little research on it too, and prior Vice President Aldo Lopez really helped me understand Brown Act and parliamentary procedures very well. And if you're ever interested in actually partaking in parliamentary procedures, I highly advise you, to join student government. We currently have positions open in cabinet and Senate, and including with a few of the senators and commissioners that are going to have time conflicts next week because they're taking a certain class, or when cabinet meets, we're probably going to have a few more seats open. So I highly encourage anybody that's really interested in learning more about parliamentary procedures and student government to go and check us out. We're at the AACC. It's right next to the bookstore. You're more than welcome to come in anytime from 8 in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon.
Now, being that you just talked about Mr. Cerritos a little while ago, you mentioned that you fell twice. As you were live on the air around the world, we want to know, will you be in Mr. Cerritos next year? Oh. Give it another go?
Good job of putting me at the spot, Rob. Really good. At this moment, my main focus is really just academics and representing the students here. Exactly a year ago, I probably would have told you absolutely. But, down the line, I'm not quite sure. I am hoping to be part of the committee that's going to be doing the Falcon Games again and the Spring Festival. So I have to take that into account, and also my time. So I'm not denying that I'm not going to do it, but I'm not saying yes to it yet.
Oh, our audience is in suspense now. Now, I was also wondering, we've had traditions here on campus. One of them had a name change. Originally, we had Hoedown Days, and then we changed it a while back to the Spring Festival. Can you tell me what was the change? Are there any differences between the events?
Quite honestly, Rob, no, it was just a name change. And I'll give you a great analogy. Like the WWF, World Wrestling Federation, was changed to WWE. That's primarily it. It was just a name change. We still host the same events, the carnival booths and, the Mr. Cerritos, the cupcake, the chili cook-off. And actually, we added something to the Spring Festival that Hoedown Days didn't have, which was a cupcake competition. And that's also going to be happening next semester. So there really was no major change. It was just a name because since we thought it was spring, it should be called the Spring Festival. And I wasn't actually too much part of that process. That was when Lance Macchiano and Aldo Lopez were AACC president and vice president.
The description for a chili contest, can you explain, is there a specific chili that they have to make?
Well, we're kind of given a little bit of free range on that. And I mean, I helped out my friend Aldo Lopez last semester come up with his chili, and he wanted to make the hottest chili. And no joke, he was so determined that by the time we were done, we were actually almost crying on the floor. That's how hot it was. And the awards are given out as hottest chili, best texture, best taste, and then best overall, I believe. And like I said, there's no real rules to it except don't get anybody sick.
The reason why I say this is because most people, when they make the chili, is it supposed to look like chili beans or?
I don't have the specific guidelines with me right now, but that is the direction that we tend to head towards.
The reason why I say that is because there was an organization who's nameless, but their entry, they ended up bringing regular red-looking salsa, and they felt embarrassed and walked away from their chili.
Huh. I actually didn't know about that incident, Rob.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Well, basically, from what I understand, there was an organization that entered in the competition, but it just said chili contest, so there wasn't no detail specific about it. So I guess that entry, that member got the impression that it could just be regular salsa. So this individual brought in a bowl of, it looked like regular tomato sauce, like paste, type of salsa, and this person felt embarrassed because everybody else is a lot more impressive and was in like a crock pot and everything, and it was just there's just a little bowl of salsa.
Well, I'm really sorry to hear that. And I mean, if there was an issue or you feel like there needs to be more clearance on what the chili cook-off, how the chili should look, I'm more than welcome to communicate that with the coordinator of student activities, AJ. Like I said, we're always trying to improve here. But, I mean, he shouldn't have felt embarrassed. I mean, last semester when we first tried the cupcake competition, I believe Raquel Ramirez, who was president of Leo Club, brought in a cupcake made out of bacon. I mean, I was really taken back by it. I've never seen that before. I mean, I've only seen that on Epic Mealtimes and a YouTube channel. And they tried it, and she actually won most unique. So maybe, he could have brought in some chips or, on the side. But again, I wasn't the one who created the chili cook-off. But I'm more than happy to, tell this coordinator student activity to see if we could set some more specific guidelines to that.
Now, I was wondering, when you mentioned about name changes, you mentioned the wrestling. I was wondering, do you follow wrestling? Have you been a fan of it before? Or?
Oh, Rob, I used to be a big fan of wrestling back when I was in elementary school, actually. Back when I thought it was actually not staged. Mm-hmm. It was the era of Rock, and I remember Rob Van Dam, like all these different wrestlers. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of grew out of it. Life takes you in different directions. I don't have anything against it. But I did have a little thing for it. And, Yeah, that's primarily it. I still have some of the video games that came out for the PlayStation 1.
How far along ago do you say you stopped? Like,
Ooh, I say about 8 years ago. I really don't know too much more about wrestling anymore.
I grew up watching it. My great uncle used to play it all the time, and most of my uncles all watch it. So to this day, me and now my sister and my brother, we still watch it. You know, some people will be like, "It's fake." And the thing though that people who may not be aware is their training, like the moves and stuff that they do is real and stuff. They could still get injured. However, the outcome they already know before, like the matches and stuff. But do you keep up to date, with maybe like the big names that are still around, or?
Well, every once in a while, because I go on a little nostalgia binge, I like to kind of look back and think, whatever happened to The Undertaker, or whatever happened to Kane, or whatever happened to Triple H, and I look back and some of them are still wrestling, which I find amazing because, like you mentioned, Rob, the outcome is already decided, but these wrestlers put so much work into just keeping their physique and their moves, and sometimes they get really injured and life-threatening injuries that they can't recover from. So that's primarily it. Like I said, once in a while I get a little bit of nostalgia and I like to look back, see what they did. But that's it. I haven't been able to watch it on TV for a while, and that's due to my busy schedule and just having all these other activities to do.
And you're familiar with the fact that The Rock came back for a few pay-per-views, and then he actually suffered a serious injury where he had to have surgery on the most recent WrestleMania, I believe.
I do remember that The Rock came back because I do follow The Rock on Instagram. I actually he was my favorite wrestler growing up. He went into acting, and I think he did really good in that. And he's just such a motivational speaker, So I did notice that he went back to the WWE and did a few wrestling matches. I even think he won the title.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that he got injured. That's something new to me.
Mm-hmm. He tore some muscle during his match with Cena. He lost the belt to him. And he was in the middle, I believe, he finished producing a movie, and he was set to record for Hercules. Oh. And then he got the surgery healed, and he went to production already.
Oh, wow. Well, it was unfortunate that he got injured, but I actually do remember that he was recovering from an injury. I just didn't know it was provoked by his wrestling match. Mm-hmm. And then he's still always posting up those workout pictures of him lifting, 100 down dumbbells. So it looks like The Rock is, getting back up there, and I'm not surprised. I mean, the man is practically amazing. He looks actually bigger than he was 8 years ago, which is... after, I believe, 31 is when your metabolism slows down a bit and you don't tend to grow as much, as you were in your early 20s, mid-20s. So to see him still doing that and still surpassing himself every year, I mean, that's just amazing.
And I mean, one of the most interesting things about wrestling today compared to the past is that you see a transition from sports. I mean, you've had one superstar named Elijah Burke who was under WWE, and then he went to TNA under the name of D'Angelo De Niro, but they mentioned that he was a lightweight boxer. And there's another one named, of course, you mentioned Rob Van Dam. Mm-hmm. He's had quite a bit of background in martial arts, and CM Punk is a current person who he's been training for mixed martial arts, and Brock Lesnar had made the jump before to go to UFC. Now, do you follow boxing or MMA? Because I'm a big sports fanatic, Rob, and I generally love sports. The other day I was watching a soccer game, with my family, and I'll watch a football game, a baseball game. But I live a very fast-paced life, and most of the times I can only watch some of the clips on highlights online. But MMA is actually one of those sports that I wish I had more time to invest in, but I haven't. And one of my friends, Lily, I mean, she's a
big time MMA fanatic. So if you want more information about that, you're more than welcome to talk to her because she's always telling me stuff, and I'm really impressed. But yeah, unfortunately due to time, if I was younger, I think I would have been more time invested into it. But yeah.
How about in particular? Are you familiar though with two boxers, Pacquiao and Mayweather?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's two of the most famous athletes in the world. Like, even though I might not follow every boxing match or might not see every boxing match, I do know who Pacquiao and Mayweather are.
What do you think about that series that they would have called 24/7? And what do you think about the possibility of those two ever getting in the ring?
Oh man, well, Mayweather and Pacquiao are two completely different fighters. Mayweather, for example, is more about bringing in his opponent and slowly just jabbing at him, light stings here and there. And it's a lot of technique and a lot of defending, which sometimes, and this is just my opinion, Rob, it can make the boxing match really boring. I mean, I saw him fight against Canelo, what they call him, Cinnamon in English. And I thought it was going to be a great match, and I was really highly disappointed, even though Mayweather did deserve to win that fight because he obviously was the speed, and also he had control over the entire match. It was one of the most boring boxing matches I've ever seen. Pacquiao was more about being a full-on fighter and just really going at it out with his opponent, and you saw that when he fought against Marquez, and I believe 2 fights ago, and he lost due to him leaving his neck area open, and just Marquez straight out knocked him out. But that type of fighting is actually the one I really enjoy the most because any little misstep, any little error could just lead to you losing a match. So I'm not sure if Pacquiao and Mayweather fight would ever really come true because two completely different fighters, like I said, and I feel like both of them just don't see it in their best interest to fight each other,
No, originally there were negotiations, but they fell through. One of the factors was that apparently Mayweather's dad told Mayweather that perhaps maybe Pacquiao should be blood tested the weekend before the fight.
Yeah, I do recall that, and I remember that happened a few years prior to that too, when they were originally negotiations to have a fight against each other. And I mean, I don't really know what too much to say about that. I mean, if a simple blood test is needed to make sure that you're not using anabolic steroids, I believe that's reasonable. If Pacquiao felt that he had to take it, but Mayweather didn't, maybe he felt like that was being biased. I could understand that too. But, this has just been nothing but talk the last few years. And when they actually do decide to fight, if that ever happens, then I'll know it's real. But at this moment, I mean, every time they say, Mayweather and Pacquiao talks are on the way again, like, it's been on the way for like the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, it either happens or it doesn't.
Now, I know that originally the first time he agreed to the blood test, but then he added the fact that he wanted it the weekend before. And Pacquiao's defense was that he says that if blood is taken away too close to a fight, nutrients are taken away. Do you know anything about that, that donating blood or getting blood taken out, what does it do as far as health-wise?
Well, health-wise, not too much unless you're... I believe you're lacking iron in the blood. You could faint or be extremely nauseous for a few hours after after donating blood. But I'll give you for an example, Rob. I'm a very active person. Like, I go to the gym 4 times a week, and I also love to donate blood because it's helping people. And every time that after I donate blood for that entire week, I have about 5% less energy than I originally would have, if I hadn't donated blood. So from that case, I could see Pacquiao's case that if you donate blood, he's going to lose some nutrients and probably be less energized if he hadn't, and if this is the week before. But again, they are boxers and they're at a completely different level. So I kind of see both point of views, but I actually might side a little bit with Pacquiao on this one. It would be better if there was a blood test maybe a few weeks prior to that, so he could fully recover, And again, on these matches where you have to be, 100%, ready, you don't want to have that small margin of error with just doing the slight little activity or slight little task could deteriorate having the upper hand against your opponent.
And right now that obviously the holidays are going to come up and we have just one more week left next week. What is how long usually do we have a vacation between the end of this semester and the beginning of next semester?
Well, I believe in total, Rob, it's about 4 weeks, and yeah, it's about a month, and then we come back for the spring semester, and then after that, the summer is actually much longer. It's about 3 months if you don't go to summer school. But in that time, in fact, the ACC is going to be going to the leadership conference, and I believe you are going as well, right, Rob?
No, I didn't get to register in time.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But that's also another way to maybe get, because, the leadership conference is a great way to meet faculty members. They go to Riverside and do workshops and presentations about how to be an effective student leader, how to have better study skills, and great way to, since it's the week before the spring semester starts, it kind of gets you mentally ready for the challenges ahead.
Now, there was also another question I was wondering. When we were mentioning clubs, are you in any clubs, and are you an officer of any clubs?
The person to talk to about officer position in clubs is my VP, Aldemar Sanchez, because he is the number one person who is involved with clubs. He's actually president of Order of the Falcon. It's a Harry Potter club here on campus. I believe he wants to run for VP for ISA, the International Students Association Club. He's an officer for iFalcon. And I actually made the conscious decision last semester to not be an officer for any club, because as much as I love clubs, and like I said, I was an officer before that, my time is extremely precious. I want to make sure that I'm utilizing that time the best way possible in helping students.
Now, I was wondering, what was your most favorite class?
Most favorite class? That honor has to go, honestly, to the El Maestro, Mr. Fernandez. I don't know if you've taken him before, but he teaches history of Mexico, history of Latin America, and history of California here on campus. I've always been a history buff. I was actually, raised by an aunt who has a doctorate degree in history, and she got it in Mexico. So she always talked about, the Aztec Empire and the Spanish conquistadors. And when I took that class, that's the type of class that when it ended, I didn't want to leave. I wanted to keep listening to stories. I wanted to keep, reading about the indigenous people of Mexico, and it's just such a fun class. And Mr. Fernandez has such a passion for it. That's one of those teachers that was born to do this. And it ended. I took that class spring 2012, and it still remains my favorite class to this date. I wish I could take history of Latin America or history of California, but like I said, once I got all my prerequisites done in terms of English and math, I just had to concentrate on my major. But I highly recommend to any student who's even remotely interested in history to take a class with Mr. Fernandez. You will not regret it.
No, I know when you were talking about math, I was amazed because I haven't taken math in quite some time. When I came here to Cerritos, I was very intimidated by the math. I actually dropped a few times. And some of it also had to do with the fact that managing multiple classes and having to deal with the subject that scared me the most. I'm barely right now, this semester, I fully committed to tackling 20. I'm in 20 right now. And it's very interesting because of the fact that from the other semesters, I had never seen math available on Schedule Plus. that website that
Yes.
some of the courses are offered on?
Absolutely. I use it every time I have to register for a class.
Did you ever have to use MyLabs Plus for a math class?
Funny thing is, Rob, I used MyLab Plus, and it was a different variation of that. It was actually for chemistry. So it did have a lot of math in it, actually. But for one specific math class, like Math 40, Math 60, Math 80, I've actually never used Math Plus. Do have a few friends who've used it before, and they tell me a few interesting things about it. But most of it was questions out of the textbook and personal packets that the teacher had made. I've never actually done math online.
Oh, well, this class, it's still on campus. It's just that during the lecture, rather than having all the classwork be a worksheet or writing the questions on the board and having to do them, she'll tell you to log on to MyLabs Plus, and she'll give you the sections you have to do in the class, because it's a smart room. So we're just using the computers in all our assignment. I mean, for me, I think one of the benefits, though, is the fact that that class in particular saves paper, except for the scratch paper when you have to work out the problems. But it definitely is a huge change for me, because math has always scared me, and the fact that you have that reference of MyLabs Plus, and as you're introduced to each type of math, it starts off with videos, and I think that also has helped out right now this semester. And I was wondering, have there ever been any websites that have really helped you for classes?
Absolutely, Rob. And one of them is actually Khan University. I don't know if you've utilized that website before, or if anybody has, but it's a website that has different categories of subjects related to majors, say business, math, chem, biology, microbiology. And I've never used it for math, but I did use it for chemistry. And like I mentioned before, chemistry is extremely math dense. So when there was times where even as much as she could, Ms. Mashu try to teach us a certain topic like acids or buffers or moles and Avogadro's number, I just wasn't able to comprehend it. And I always backtrack to Khan University, and the person who actually runs that website has such a natural way of explaining a subject to you that it makes everything so much more easy to comprehend. So if you, for whatever reason, feel that you need extra help, I highly recommend that website. I'm probably going to continue using it throughout my time at Cerritos College and after that.
Now, for your science requirements, I mean, we're required 3, right? 2 labs and 2 lectures and 1 lab?
Yes, I believe so.
So you decided to take both as chemistry?
Well, it's actually just a requirement for my major, so it was inevitable. I was going to fulfill that requirement because, like I mentioned before, besides chemistry, I'll give you an example. I took anatomy, which had a lab. I took physiology, which had a lab. Took chemistry the semester before, had lab. And I'm taking one right now that has a lab every Monday and Wednesday from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night. So, I mean, I think I fulfilled that requirement. But for some students, I mean, I know that they need to meet that in order to transfer to CSU or UC. So, I mean, I highly recommend that if you're not really a science major, opt for the more, broad science classes like Chem 100, which just gives you an overview of chemistry. But it's not too difficult, and you're able to learn new things that you never would have known before. And yeah, that's my recommendation.
So, a night student. And you're here since the morning, right?
Yeah, I get in here at 8 a.m. for my Philosophy 106 honors class, and I leave at around 9:45 p.m. out of my chemistry lab.
And you stay on campus the whole day?
Absolutely.
Or do you have a big time gap? Or
the only time gap I have is between 10 till about 1 o'clock. Because at 1 o'clock I do have the coordinating committee, but that's every other week. And then 2 p.m., as you know, we have cabinet. And after that, I just go do lab packets, go study for chemistry, because like I mentioned, chemistry is a subject that takes up a lot of my time. So I'm in here studying in either the ACC or over there at the lab rooms in the science building for about a few hours. Then I go to my chemistry lecture, which is from 5:30 until 6:45, and then lab starts from 7 to 10.
Have you ever had like a huge time gap?
Yes, my first spring semester here on campus, I had a 6-hour time gap, and there was like 1 or 2 times that I stayed, but most of the times I would just go home and take a nap, because at that time I was not too involved with student government or with clubs, so I would just spend most of my time going home and playing video games or doing stuff on the internet. Time gaps are interesting though, because they're people, and I know students some see it as a way to squeeze in more studying before the class, but really I see that a lot of students, including myself, sometimes tend to procrastinate during that time, and because we have so much time on our hands that we're not able to measure it out right. We think we could be flexible with this, and we really can't.
And what is it like though? I mean, for a schedule, what's the maximum amount of units you've taken in a semester?
Maximum amount is 14. I mean, I've been tempted to do 18, 17, but I know where I work best at. I mean, if I take that much amount of units, I know I can complete the classes, but I always feel like I was never able to put as much effort in each class as I would have if I was just taking 14 or 12 units. So I know how it feels to be taking so much, such a workload. Like I mentioned, today I'm here from 8 till 10 p.m. at night, and chemistry is actually, if you really think about it, 5 straight hours of just chem and, theories and equations, and it's hectic, but you keep striving on and you try to do the best job that you can. But I totally understand the night students and the students who are taking 18 to 17 units, because even though I'm not taking 18 or 17 units, Rob, I mean, we're very actively involved on campus. So we are always doing something. Nothing is ever a break for us. We're always on the go.
Have you ever felt so exhausted where you're there from the day, and when you're in your night class, you're really hoping that the teacher will let you out a little bit early?
Oh, Rob, every single Monday and Wednesday I dream about that. Since chemistry has to meet, it's a science class, they have to teach certain topics. It's not flexible like a history class where we didn't get to the Reagan era or, the Bush era, so that's okay, we can skip that. No. In chemistry classes, we have to finish whatever is in that syllabus that we had in the beginning of the semester. So we hardly ever leave early. And the few times that we do, I honestly feel like crying because it's such a wonderful feeling. The one day that's so hectic, and I could just go home. Even if it's just 30, 20 minutes a little bit earlier, it's a great feeling. So I totally understand you if sometimes you feel like that too, Rob.
Yeah, I remember I had one teacher, she's like, I don't let people out early. And if you're lucky, maybe 10 minutes. I'm like, that's it. Oh.
We all have had that one teacher.
And, I mean, some students, they often have different techniques on studying and stuff. I've seen people who, they probably have a tape recorder, or some people, they'll have like a laptop. Have you ever had to do something like that, or do you just write by hand?
I tend to actually type up my notes. I did that a lot last semester when I was in physiology, and that's because it was a lot of information being put down on the board. I never did it for math. I always did that with pencil and paper. This semester, though, like I said, sociology and philosophy, it's more kind of going through concepts, and I just feel like using a laptop wouldn't be as efficient. I did one time contemplate doing tape recordings, but I just never went through with it, and that's because I was doing pretty good. I've only gotten 1 B here at Cerritos College. I managed to maintain a 4.0 for almost 2 years, and I got my first B in physiology, which honestly felt pretty good because once you get the first B, getting a second B is not, you can accept it,
So that's the lowest you had as a B?
Yeah, I got a 89% in physiology. I still can't believe that happened, but like I said, failures, rejections, it's all part of life. You take from it and you use that experience to make yourself a better person.
Now I remember you mentioned that sometimes you'll listen to music while studying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever ran into like maybe someone that says, "Wait, but I can't. I have to have complete silence."
Ironically, no. I've never come to that one person who's like everything must be completely silent in order for me to concentrate, and that's because I don't tend to play very heavy music when I'm, studying or anything with lyrics. I tend to listen to something really smooth and that kind of eases you in. So the day somebody tells me you turn off that Mozart, I'll be pretty shocked because I've always gotten good reactions from people who are in the study room. They're like, "Oh, thank you for playing that. That actually kind of calm my nerves down," because they're either studying for an exam or they're finishing up a project. So I haven't encountered that, but the day I do, I'll make sure to let you know.
Now, I know that sometimes our finals, there comes times where they're not actually an exam. They could be an essay that you got to do before the final, and you just turn it in and you get to leave. Then there are times where the final is a presentation. And of course, there are times where your final depends on a group collaboration. How do you feel about group projects? Do you often sometimes feel iffy about it, where you're like, I'd rather like depend on my own hard work than have to depend on maybe some group members may not be as reliable?
Well, absolutely, Rob. Group projects, and I'm actually doing one as a final for sociology, and I'm actually really happy with the group I got because they're very hard workers.
Which sociology is it?
Sociology 101 honors, Miss Holzgang.
Mhm.
And but I'd much rather opt out for just being able to do the project myself, because you yourself know what you're capable of doing, and people, as much as I love to think that they have the best intentions at hand, they might not sometimes come through for you. And I've had incidents where there's always that one person who says he's going to do something, doesn't, and then shows up near the end. There's that one person who doesn't know what's happening at all. And there's that one person who does all the work, which when I was in high school tended to be me most of the time. So like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of group projects, but hey, I'm not the teacher, and if any teacher just says that, this is the final, I've just put the best effort as I can to make sure it's completed.
Yeah, that happened to me for sociology. I took the marriage and families class, and we had one group member who would no-show and stuff, and then at the end I went from A to B.
Oh, that's really unfortunate.
Because of the group final.
Yeah, like I said, group finals, that's a risk. I guess my recommendation for that, and I know it seems completely unfair, but if you feel like one of your group members is just not going to come through, you take in that extra workload and you do it. And I mean, most teachers tend to have a self-evaluation where people evaluate their group members. I mean, have more within the right to tell that teacher that, hey, this one particular member didn't really do anything, didn't show up, and I had to pick up for his slack. I just wanted to let you know that because, I like to believe that, the world has a way of kind of fixing itself. So if that member didn't honestly do the workload, then he will probably deserve the grade that he should have, which is either an F or a D, if he didn't contribute that much to the project.
Now, I was wondering, you go to a lot of meetings and you're here for hours, but what do you get to do on your free time aside from workout?
Well, the thing is, Rob, free time is becoming less and less available to me. I do tend to want to spend time with, my family. I'm a big family person. I was raised by, a single mom the first few years of my life, and if it's not spending time with my mom, then it's either hanging out with a few of the student members here on campus, afterwards going to eat, maybe going to a movie. I'm a very calm person. I'm not too crazy. So that's really it. And, of course, working out's my biggest thing.
Now, I wanted to surprise you with one of our own fellow on-air talent. Ignite's here, and, Ignite, we have our president here of student government. And I would really like you to surprise him, because this guy right here, Ignite, can freestyle spontaneously out of the blue when you ask him to rap.
Oh, wow.
So whenever you're ready, let's do it. Go ahead.
All right. Do I got a beat or do I just go?
Let me see. A beat. Well, you want to do again the
Yeah, bring it. Yeah, give me anything. I'm good. Welcome again, Mr. President.
Oh, pleasure to meet you, sir.
You too. Oh, man.
So how long have you been actually doing this?
Wow. I've been freestyling since I was 7. Ever since I heard hip hop, I just wanted to just mimic it and just do it. And I just started getting better at it when I was 11. So I've been doing it 10 years strongly. 10 years strongly.
You ready?
Oh yeah, bring it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yo, check it. Next is him, the best of him. Everybody knows that I'm naked, this is evident. People know that I'm doing it just prevalent, never irrelevant. I'm just doing this so they know that I'm repping it. People know, shout out to the president. Flow off top. People know that I've been making it non-stop. Making the music. Everybody knows that I'm about to do it. I'm making the music that flow on. You know what? Cut it. You can cut it because it's skipping, but I got it. Check it. I'll give him something else. All right. I'm an ordinary human being. Drop the add an extra to show a truer meaning. Add another extra and tell them all to read about it. The one followed by 6 zeros, 1,000 times 1,000. In other words, I have an entourage, but not a real friends. These one thing I'm not facade. My real homies know that my flow can make some people stutter. Cause I got raw talent, my skill don't even need a rubber. Don't need no others, we satisfied with close fam. Soccer player to you helpers, I need no hands. Addicted to my flow, I got no fans. Addicted to my music, I'm lyrically Lindsay Lohan. Your music puts me to sleep like I'm listening to Chopin. Yeah.
All right. That's pretty impressive, sir.
Thank you. That's just a fifth of my power, by the way. Just telling you.
It feels like I'll let you know that most people don't know this about me, but I'm actually a big hip-hop fan.
Are you?
Yeah, I grew up in Southgate, and a lot of my cousins grew up listening to like Eazy-E and a lot of West Coast rap. And I actually ended up transitioning to more East Coast rap as well, like Nas. And
Biggie.
I mean, that's music that in times where I'm stressed out or I'm having just a rainy day, I love to just put in like Illmatic or recently I've been getting into Kendrick Lamar too with this Good Kid, Mad City album.
You my man. I loved hearing that. I just love hearing that. I mean that's good to know. I mean, hip hop has been my life too, so that's good to hear. I mean, if you like hip hop so much, maybe you should come back for Deaf Man's Music.
Oh yeah,
definitely. It's next. His show is next.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I have to prepare for a cabinet meeting. But let me just tell you, thank you so much for your performance. I mean, that's always impressive.
I'm glad you like it.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I need to perform some more for you because that's just a little bit. I have books and books of it.
Oh man, that's impressive.
I can go for
whenever
days.
you have some free time, stop by the ACC and we could just sit down, maybe eat, and just talk a little bit about hip hop.
Love it. I'd love to.
I grew up with hip hop too. I still love it. I might not look like I'm a hip hop fan by any chance, but
hey, hip hop is in many different shapes, sizes, colors, and all of it.
No, absolutely.
Big time.
Well, I want to thank my guests for taking their time to be here on the Falcon Spotlight. It's been an honor to feature so many organizations and active leaders here on campus for the semester. This is, again, the final live edition for the semester, and it's just been great. And to have the type of guests that I've had for this edition, it's great. And, of course, the holidays is approaching. So this is Rob GF, and I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Rob, for letting me be on your show. And just to let you know, whatever you plan to do, you're going to be extremely successful at it. I've seen what you do in cabinet. I've seen what you've done here at the radio station. Don't let intimidation and fear because you might not be as well prepared for math, held you back. You are going to do great things, my friend. So keep striding it. Again, thank you so much, sir, for your freestyle. Like I said, I hope to have a conversation about hip-hop.
Yes, I'd love to, too.
And I hope you have a good radio show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And remember, folks, you can always keep up to date on the Falcon Spotlight Facebook page. Just look up Cerritos College Falcon Spotlight. Goodbye, everyone.